Ladies and gentlemen, hello, good evening on this wet and windy Storm Dennis in the UK. But we're here for some Elite Vortex rated F1 tier Formula 1 this evening, round 4 of the championship. We're in China this weekend, and of course, don't forget, for all of you that are actual F1 fans, the China Grand Prix in 2020 has actually been postponed due to the coronavirus and all that stuff, but that doesn't affect us this evening. We have 16 drivers this evening. We were actually expecting less than that due to a lot of the drivers being on a vacation, as they call it. But we're here regardless. Thomas has already DQ'd from the session, so he won't be putting a lap time in. The drivers have just over 16 minutes to post their quickest lap times, and I probably should make a party before the drivers start hating the commentator through the game chat. There we go. Hopefully that's a little bit better so the drivers don't hear us. Montana will be the first car to cross the line, and we can take you on a lap of China. I'm sure you're all very familiar with the circuit layout here. It's just a tricky first 4 turns, and then other than that it's not too bad. This bit, turn number 1, can be done in 2 different ways. You can go to the outside, hug the inside second, like Montana's doing, but also see quite a few drivers that get some good quality laps, hug the inside all the way round. So we'll see what's interesting. Montana obviously having the traction on awful medium this evening. You can see the back end just slipping a little bit down to turn number 6. And it's quite a tricky one. We see quite a few drivers braking a little bit too late, or later than they think they should, and overcutting that corner a little bit. Probably not expecting too much action this evening. Probably see a bit of contacts down the back straight to turn 14, as usual on China. Might see a couple of taps of the gearboxes or on the side of the cars through turns 1 to 4 at the very start, but other than that it's not normally too bad. Probably not expecting too many safety cars, even with the recent update. Might get one on lap 1, but other than that I think we'll be pretty okay this evening. So China's 56 laps in real life on 100%, so we'll be doing 28 laps this evening, and we will see what happens. In terms of the standings at the moment, let's go constructors first, because I love a good constructor fight. Let's have a look at the constructors. So McLaren are on 52 points this evening, Mercedes 43, Williams 29, Toro Rosso and Renault 25 each, and those complete the top 5. The gaps are not too far apart, so it'll be interesting to see what those are after today. I think Thomas might have DQ because he might have a quali ban. I might just be speaking false information, but there are some people that do have quali bans this evening. In terms of the Drivers' Championship, Montana is on 36, Midnight is on 29, Thomas, Semi, Raikkonen are all on 25, Fruitful out through 18. So you can see the points are pretty close, and it's crazy because from 3rd to 5th, 25 points, and someone can win a race and be up there straight away. And you know, we're quite early into the season. Probably expected the first driver to have more than 36 points, but that's definitely not the case. We've had 5 minutes of qualifying. Some of the times have already come in, and a lot of the drivers going on the hard side first, and that's the Alfa Romeo of Vaporeon. I can't remember how to say his name, to be honest. And he went off after turn number 10 down to 11, but luckily he hits dead central of his front wing, and it somehow saves the car. So we got a 32.4 on hard. You can see the leader gap. It's pretty close initially, to be fair. The gaps from P1 to P11 only 0.8 of a second, which is quite interesting. And I'm sure we'll see some of the times drop too. I'm not sure what the weather is at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. I'm trying to find an inside source. It looks a bit cloudy on the outside though, a little bit. I'm going to put anyone got the weather, and we'll see. I'm expecting it to be dry, of course, but you never know. You never know. China has pulled up some wet races in other leagues, and other YouTubers' career modes quite often as well, as BBC Retster comes across the line and goes the slowest one at the moment, goes 13th fastest with a 33.690. Fruitful is on a lap in his racing point, and you can, well, he was on a lap until he lost the back end coming out of turn 4, so he's no longer on a lap. Vaporeon retires from the session. I think Sam might be on a lap in his Toro Rosso. 32.9 to beat, so he goes 32.6, he goes 3 times quicker, goes 6th fastest. Won't really affect the drivers too much at the moment. The drivers are and will be going to the medium compound or softs at some point. Just a chance for them to get used to the track a little bit. And look how quickly qualifying flies. We've already down to 10, just over 10 minutes to go. Let's see, a couple of drivers that I haven't actually seen before this evening. Gwil, BBB Retster, Super Guy NL. Definitely those I don't think I've seen. Li Yoga, I don't think I've seen. I don't think I've ever said that name in Elite Vortex rating. He might have been here for Australia, but I wasn't there for Australia. I missed that week. Another commentator did Australia, so I'm not quite sure if he was there for that or not. Good luck. F2 has rain, says Minty. Interesting. Very, very interesting. And I don't think... Might just have a quick look at that rain, actually. Warren says, come on, Seb. And the F2 qualifying only has 13 drivers. Oh dear. And it's a heavy rain quali, which is really, really rough, to be fair. Ghost Shap and Jack Easy 1-2 Williams. Could be. We never know. I mean, Montana is pretty quick at the moment. He is leading the Drivers' Championship as it stands. So we'll see. Midnight and Chapelele, we know how quick they are, though. There's no doubt about that. And we'll see if they can keep that up here. In China, of course. Just going to have a look at the inside source to see if we've got the weather. The weather is all dry, I've been told. So we have a dry quali and a dry race, unlike F2. But yeah, it's weird because of course the weather could have been different. It could have been the other way around. We could have had the heavy rain, and F2 could have had the dry. But I'm sure the drivers would appreciate that we do have the dry, as the Williams of Midnight goes wide at turn number 4. We've had 10 minutes of quali. We have 8 minutes to go. Silas Argard has gone into third P3 at the moment. Fruitful's gone P4. Josh P5, Evo P6. Diego P7. Don't think I've seen that name before. And Yogurt P8 for now. Moves to P9 as Gwil sets the first soft time with a 32.05 and goes P1 for the moment. And that'll be interesting to see if that time can be matched. Gwill is Montana's teammate this evening. I'm just going to check if Gwill... I just don't... It just doesn't ring a bell, that name. So Gwill is on 12 points. But... Okay, I mean, Montana's 36, Gwill's 12. That's 48, but McLaren have 52 points. So I'm guessing McLaren have used a reserve driver at some point in this with another driver. I was going to say, because I just don't recognise the name Gwill. Maybe he joined in Australia and got 4th place. But I don't think I've seen him in the first 3 races. But maybe I was wrong. I believe Raikkonen is the only person out there who isn't retired, who hasn't put a lap in. So we can watch the Renault driver as he goes on his lap around China through the S section of 7, 8 and 9 at the moment. And we'll see what he does. Upshifting to gear 4 through turn number 10. Just to get that extra little bit of better, not just traction, but I guess acceleration. Through turn 12 he goes. Can he hold it full power through 13? I think he can. He's on the back straight, of course. A really long back straight. It's crazy to think that Azerbaijan straight is double the length of that. Azerbaijan straight is about 28 seconds of full power. That is apparently only about 15. Raikkonen comes across the line, turn number 16, and goes second quickest with a 30.467, a quarter of a second behind Gwill at the moment, but we're starting to see some of the quicker compounds being used and the quicker times being posted. Just going to try and catch someone on the lap, which I don't think anyone is at the moment, so we just have to wait patiently. And there is 5 minutes of qualifying left to go. BBB Rexter is about to start his fast lap, I think. Or, well, I mean, he stayed out and done 5 laps, so he's probably using this bit as a practice. He needs to get into the pits, whack the softs on, and I'm sure he'll be able to come out and post a lap here this evening. No one is on a fast lap at the minute, I don't think. So we'll just wait until someone is. There is a Ferrari of Diego who's also done 6 laps on the hards, and that's what some people do. If they can't get the practice in beforehand, then why not? Why would they not? 4 minutes of qualifying to go. You can see how red and hot those brakes were on that Ferrari, even if you just caught that view. And there's actually only 3 cars out at the minute. One of them is coming in. Chapelele might actually be on a lap. He's just under 2 tenths up on his time, which is good. That would actually put him possibly 4th or 5th. He's now 4 tenths through his second sector, which means he could be looking at a 3rd place position, which would mean he is the quickest of the medium drivers as it stands. He's got the final bit of the 3rd sector to come, and then he was probably go into the P3, I think, is probably a realistic expectation. Even in Montana. Looking for a good result from you this evening. Chapelele comes through turn number 16. He's looking for to be the 32.1, to be the quickest medium driver at the time. He goes 31.6, smashes that by half a second. Goes 3rd fastest as predicted. 2 minutes and 40 of qualifying left. A lot of people are in the pits, but the threshold is about now for them to start coming out. and getting those final laps in on the medium compounds. As you can see, there's only 2 drivers that are going out on the softs, so I think the strategy this evening is a medium to hard. Will the safety car affect that if we have one? You can see the train of drivers going out now. Once you hear one engine, all the others go out too. And the first driver that looks to be crossing the line will be Chapelele, but he'll be going back in the pits, or he will be trying another lap. I'm not too sure, so we'll remain on board with it. Look at the pack of 4 in turn number 6 now. They'll probably need a bit of a gap to each other. As you can see, they're just spreading out as we speak. Chapelele seems to be warming up his tyres, so we'll remain on board with Chapelele, because if he does go for another lap, he'll be one of the first cars to cross. An Alfa Romeo, Vapor, Thomas and the McLaren of Grill have all stayed in the pit, so Grill is happy with his time, and probably because he is the quickest soft driver at the minute and no one else has gone soft. So it's a pretty good decision by Grill. At the moment he's probably taking a pole position. Anyway, Chapelele does begin another lap with the racing point of I think that's Fruitful behind, and we can just flick through them as they crack on with the laps. And you can see the drivers that were in a pack of 4 got a bit of a gap to them. Aero and BBB in the Red Bull are very, very close to each other coming out of turn 12 and 13, probably to help each other get to the line in time. Chapelele is 1.5 tenths up, down on his time, and that probably means he is not going to improve. I know it's the shortest sector, but it's pretty important. It gives you the momentum to go through with the second, and he's not going to have that momentum at the minute. And we'll see what he does past the 150 board. He's 200ths quicker, but he's still down on the time technically. So we'll see if he continues to go with the lap. It's probably more realistic to go on board with Fruitful in the racing point, because he looks to be going well and quicker. If he can find 4 tenths, you find a jump from 10th to 4th. That's how close the gap is. I'll show you the leader gap as we flick through the cars in a little bit. I think sorry, he's just going through the line now. Is the racing point. The qualifying's over. These laps will count. Fruitful goes 4th fastest as predicted, 31.595. We have an Alfa Romeo on board with Josh. We have Yogurt just in front of him. We'll see if Yogurt can improve. Yogurt is P13 at the moment. Yogurt crosses the line and he goes P6. Drops to P7 as the Alfa Romeo of Josh goes P5. The Haas of Super Guy goes across the line, 31.9. 9 stays 9 fastest. Diego goes from 11th to 3rd. A very good lap from Diego, the quickest medium time so far. Chapelele goes 5th fastest. Agar goes 7th. Montana goes 3rd fastest, pushes Diego back down to P4. Makes him the 2nd quickest time. Aero comes across the line in his Red Bull. Can he improve on P13? He goes P6. And we have Rexus to come. He goes from P15 to P14 by 1 place. And we'll just get a final look at the F1 qualifying standings. And you can see that take away the first 2 pole positions, the gap from 3rd to 14th is a 2nd. So less, on average, less than a 10th, splitting the drivers, really, really close. Montana puts a pretty good lap in on the mediums. He's going to have the favoured strategy, depending on whether he can come out of turn 1 well, or it's still in that P3 position. Gwill and Raikkonen completing the front row on the soft compound. I think they'll try and go soft to hard if they can, and we'll see if they can do that. But we'll see what happens, of course. But it is a dry race, and ladies and gentlemen, I'll be back in 2 seconds. quite literally. So it is a dry race. We have there's one stop strategy this evening. It is quite tough on the tyres, I mean a little bit. So we probably will be seeing a hard compound tyre being used at some point, or medium soft, but I don't think so, because I don't think the drivers can take those mediums as long as they will need to. We're just waiting for the drivers to ready up. We will crack on with the formation lap, and we'll see what happens. It should be good. I'd done China, I think 2-3 times, and it's never ever been away from disappointment. There's no doubt about that. And while these drivers do the formation lap, I'm gonna grab a quick drink. I'll be back in 2. Right, we're back. You can see the tyres on your left hand side, ladies and gentlemen. You can see that the first 2 drivers are on the soft compound, of course from quali. 3rd to 10th are all on the mediums. After the 10th they get to choose what they would like. Yogurt has gone with the hard, so is Sem. A lot of the guys you'll notice have the different sponsors or leads at the start of their names. VRT, virtual race. I don't actually know what they are, to be honest. I did question this last time. I did get some answers from people after the race, but I'm not quite sure. You can see all the drivers warming up down the back straight to turn number 14. They are ready to go. 28 laps ahead of us, about 40 minutes of racing to come, dependent on safety cars or virtual safety cars or whatever we may have. And we will see. Couple of cars, of course, already on the grid due to those retiring from the session. Thomas, I'm pretty sure, had a quali ban. I just have to check the actual documentation on that, just to make sure I'm not talking absolute rubbish. As we'll just wait for the cars to line up. I've got a bit of a sore throat, so I won't shout as much as I usually do. I do apologise, but I'll do my best to cover as much as I can. I was meant to be covered by a partner tonight, but he's out drinking, and I probably don't blame him for doing it. Anyway, we have the green flash. We are ready to go. The lights are now on. It's now time for the Chinese Grand Prix, round number 4. It's lights out and away we go. The first 2 seem to have got a pretty good exit, and Gwill and the soft compound's going to lead into turn number 1 with the Renault of Raikkonen behind. I don't think there's been any immediate changes. I'll just stop that out. There has been contact in sector 1. There is a car at the back, and that is Sem, and Sem has spun. No one else seemed to have too much damage. He must have tapped the gearbox at the back of the car, but out of turn 4 they go, and I don't think the top half has changed that much. We'll just have a look at the position change. So first, P1 to 5 hasn't changed at all. Chapelet at 1, Airguard's up 2, Yogurt's up 3. Couple of changes into turn 6 from behind, but we'll concentrate at the front. Really tightly packed from P10 onwards, and we'll see what happens regarding that. We can have a look now as the first 5 seem to have a pretty reasonable gap. You can see how close the midfield pack is, and this is going to be the case for the next 40 minutes. The Haas taps the gearbox of the Red Bull, doesn't get any damage, which is good to see. And we'll see the Alfa Romeo having a little bit of a twitchy moment out of turn 10. His teammates just behind him, and I'm sure they'll want to try and get up the grid, because I'm pretty sure they won't be happy with P14, P15 at the moment. Pretty good dynamic view of the cars coming down turn, the back straight to turn 14 at the moment. Will we see any dive bombs? Of course, we don't have DRS available to us until lap 3, but I don't think there's been any initial attempted overtakes down to turn 14, and the cars are happy with their positions. Fruitful might have had a cheeky look on the Haas, but I'm pretty sure he was ahead of the Haas. The Red Bull and the Haas are wheel to wheel down turn 14. The Red Bull is pushed wide by the Haas, does well to control the traction, but the Haas is right alongside him, and I think the Haas might have just got a tiny bit of a better exit, and he will lead into turn 1. There's a bit of contact on the Mercedes, and that's Thomas. He got sandwiched between both of the cars, and he takes a spin. I don't think that was anyone's direct fault. Josh is the Alfa Romeo that had damage on lap 1 as well. You can see him fixing his wing, and we'll just go back to the front of the action just to make sure we're not missing anything, but I don't think we are. The first 5 haven't actually changed still. This is looking good for Montana the longer this goes on. Thomas has left the session, not the best evening for him. He missed quali, and then he's out on lap 1, and that won't be good for Thomas. There's a yellow flag in sector 2. There's an Alfa Romeo of Vaporium that's just gone off after turn 8, I think that is. He's got no cars around him, but he has lost his left end plate, as you can see, so he's going to have to pit, and both Alfa Romeos having to pit really early on. And that's quite a shock, because I don't think they're normally quite good at the start in terms of no contact scenarios and stuff, but that's not going to that doesn't apply in China this evening. The P5, P1 to 5 still hasn't changed. I think they're kind of in a situation where they're happy. I mean, Montana can start managing his pace a little bit as long as Diego doesn't overtake Montana. Don't forget, Montana, Diego, Midnight have a pretty good strategy going on here. If they can keep up with the soft tyre compound drivers, they should be good later on in the race. I think Will might have, and Raikkonen might have just gone for track position off the qualifying. I guess it pays off if they come out first and second on lap 1, which they have. So we'll see. The 2 Alfa Romeos right at the back. But it's fine, I guess, if everyone else has to pit, but they've lost 6.5 seconds with a wing change each. That's not going to be very good. Thomas is still having an AI drive his vehicle. It's not actually him. He has left the session. We've got to remember that in terms of the back markers a little bit later on as the cars come through turn 10. All got a reasonable gap. We can have a look at the leader gap at the top of your screens. You can see that from 1st to 11th is only 8 seconds, so what, an average of 8 tenths-ish, just over 8 tenths per gap. Which is really good to see. We have DRS, I think. We'll just double check a couple of cars. You can see from McLaren has the DRS. He's going to look to overtake the Renault down to turn 14, and he has just about overtaken VRT Raikkonen, even on the median compound. Montana moves up to P2. That could have been a pretty important overtake because we know how quick he is, and he's even on the slower tyre, and he's still making overtakes. Already on lap, we're just onto lap 4, but there we go, that was interesting. If Montana can stick as close to the as back to the gearbox of Gwil, I don't think that was even English, but I'm sure he can probably overtake, going to P1 with the favoured strategy. We'll have to keep an eye on it. Yogurt seems to be a little bit close to Super Guy now in P10. I've got to try and cover the whole field. I don't want to remain just at the front. Everyone's got to get their screen time. And let's see. Thanks Cohen for the comment. Man don't need luck. I got to a point where I think this is my 5th week of... Is it my 5th week of commentary? I don't know. It gets to a point where you start doing the tracks again and again. So literally I started learning the turns off by heart. So the commentary now isn't too difficult. I think the most difficult thing is when something isn't happening to find something to talk about. But that's what you guys are for, not me. Montana is getting very, very close to Gwil. Might make an inside dive to turn 14. He doesn't, but it might make Gwil overbrake a little bit. Montana cuts the inside of a curb. It's fully allowed to do so, but Gwil, and as we know from previous races on different leagues, that outside line is perfect outside of 14. You will always be quicker on that outside line. Montana will have the DRS coming down the back straight. Don't forget, these guys are teammates, so if Montana gets close, Gwil might give him a position, and he has. Okay, he hasn't. I lie. Gwil covers the inside of turn number 3, but Montana may have the inside to turn number 4. They're both wheel to wheel coming out of turn 4, but the soft tyre traction might help Gwil down to turn 5 and 6. They're literally neck and neck. They don't want to do anything stupid here because they both want to finish just for the constructors as well. Montana overbrakes a little bit. Gwil tries to cover the inside, but he doesn't get it. And Montana, in 5 laps, has gone from P3 to P1 of the medium compound tyre. So Montana's looking really, really strong at China this evening. Diego is P3. What happened to Raikkonen? Okay, so Raikkonen pitted after 4 laps of the soft tyre. Is that all it could do? I'm not sure, but he's come out on the hard compound and he's going to try and do 24 laps on it. Is it possible? I don't know. That would be technically 48 laps on 100%, but they're only allowed to do 43 in career mode. The Ferrari of Diego did have DRS. I'm not sure if Diego had it as well, but Gwil gets that position back. The Ferrari short shifts through the gears, tries to do a cheeky switchback, might have tapped the back of the McLaren, but it didn't cause any problems. But he is still P3 until the McLaren of Gil pitted, and he's now P2. Diego needs to put a pretty quick lap in. Vaporeon has retired after turn 10. In sector 2, as you can see on the mini-map there, just to the top of that screen then, and we have a safety car for that incident. The crash was on the track, it obviously had some damage, and we have a safety car. So how many people will we see pit, and how much will that help Gwil? Because if all the cars pit now, Gwil might actually go to the front with a fresh set of hards. Or even Yogurt might. Oh no, actually they haven't pitted, so Gwil would. We'll see what decisions the drivers make, and that just adds a little bit of a, I don't know, a predicament to the drivers, and we do have a safety car. Even though the car has actually been taken away from the session already, if the game was going to take it away that quick, maybe a virtual safety car would have been a little bit better. Diego gets a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car, and he's not going to like that, and that's why that throws people's races away. Do not speed under the safety car, because there is no need to, and that's interesting. And we'll see what happens with that. He's going to have to do it within 3 laps, or he's going to get a disqualification. I'm pretty sure those are the rules. I wonder how the F2 race is getting on. It looks a bit wet. I'm just going to have a quick look. They're on lap 6, and it's intermediates for F2, which is very, very interesting. And we've got it all nice and dry here, which is good to see. Montana decides to pit. Chapelele doesn't. Diego decides to come in the pit. Maybe it was a little glitch. He puts on the hard compound tyres. A lot of people pitting. Well, I say a lot. 8 pitting. We'll just see some pit lane action. The pit crew's getting a bit of an unsafe release from a racing point, but it's all good. Retster has left the session. I don't know why, to be honest. He might have a connection issue. Let's hope he can get back in. And what we'll do is a couple of people will have to pit after the safety car. A couple of people, of course, haven't decided to do it. So we will see. A safety car, of course, has to do a minimum of 2 laps. So it will have to do this one and next one. So we'll be coming out, back out on lap number 9. But yeah, we were talking about having a safety car before the race, and we got one. So I'm not complaining, a big fan of a safety car. It probably was a safety car, the event that happened, the problem being, when the cars got there, it was off the track. So, you know, but it'll bring the pack together. That's not always a bad thing. it's helped some people have a pit stop as well. It's made some people think about their strategies and what we're going to do. We started with 16, we are down to 15. But we've got a very long way to go yet. We've probably still got about half an hour to go of racing. And it'll be interesting to see what happens from this point. I would go through the standings on your left hand side, but they will change. Sorry about the yawning. Had a very long day at work. They will probably change at some point. Like we said, the safety car will be doing one more lap, of course, for its 2-lap minimum criteria. Yogurt giving Chapelele a bit of a tease on the left hand side. You can see the cars are trying to warm up their tyres and brakes down the back straight for one more time before we get back to normal racing. A Red Bull of Webster has pitted, so so this will be, I think, a retirement, or he's back in his vehicle. Josh the Alfa Romeo is coming through the line to join the pack. He's P14 at the moment, and the Alfa Romeos have had a bit of a shocker in China this evening. One of the drivers is out completely. The other driver is P14 for the moment. What does that mean for the championship standings? Well, I'll get access to that as soon as I can, and we'll have a discussion towards the end of the race. But absolutely nothing is guaranteed as we speak. But is Montana in the best position at the moment? Some would say yes. He's already pitted. He can easily do 21 laps on hard. Bear in mind, two of them, technically on the safety car pace. The Red Bull will be catching up very, very soon. And I think it was Webster who did get the drive-through penalty. And it's literally put in P50. Which is not going to help him at all. The safety car is in. The Red Bull at the back should have time to catch up the pack. But he's moving very gingerly. So maybe he can't. And he's going to have to do some good racing work to catch up. And we're just waiting for Chapelele to monitor the pace, wait for the safety car to get back into the pits, and the race can restart. We've got all the cars jumbled together, as you can see, excuse me, by the leader gap. And this is what we like to see, good competitive racing. Safety cars not always a bad thing. I'm sorry if you can hear some background wind as well. I do have my window open a little bit, and it is pretty gusty. It's stormed, and it's not as bad as Kira, that some of you may know, but it is pretty gusty. Chapelele is slowing the pack right down. The safety car is in, so Chapelele can get going whenever he wants. Yogurt's right behind, looking to get that cheeky position. They can't overtake until they pass the start finish line, of course. And Chapelele comes through turn 16 and leads the whole pack onto lap 9 of 28. You saw Ferrari in the background going wide. There's a bit of a gap from Montana to Thomas already. Through turn 1 they go, and let's see if they all get through clean. For the McLaren of Grill trying to take the inside to Toro Rosso, but the Sem gets that car position absolutely spot on through turn number 4, and he keeps that line. Anything going round at the back, the Ferrari and Racing Point seems to be pretty close. The Ferrari tucks in behind down to turn number 6, takes a lot of curve as well. The Renault might make a little switchback attempt, I guess, on the Mercedes. Doesn't go as planned. Thomas comes out. And Aero made an overtake into turn 6 past Diego in the Ferrari. Don't forget that Diego has pitted, and there's other cars that do have to pit, of course. Pack of 4 right in front of him, who were really, really close through the S section, turn 7 to 9, and that is what the safety car brings to you. We'll go back to the front. We don't want to miss anything just in case. And it seems okay. I want the dynamic view that shows you the whole of the back straight. It's a really good camera, but it looks like we're not going to get it, so we'll just have to remain on board with one of the cars. No DRS, of course. We have to wait a few laps after the safety car, but we will get a notification in the bottom left, so we will find out when that's back on as soon as we can. Thomas makes an overtake attempt into turn 14. He hits the Red Bull, he goes wide, Aero goes wide also because of that. I don't know what damage they have. Mercedes, no damage. Okay, maybe he did. It didn't look like he had damage, and we'll have to check that. We'll keep an eye on the interval gap so we don't miss anything. And Thomas now comes into the pits. He is swapping his wing. He must have had damage on the right side, but it looked like he had both his end plates. So I'm not quite sure where the damage was from. Gwill has a cheeky look at Yogurt. Yogurt locks both his front right and rear right tyres going down to turn 6, but it doesn't really affect him too much. But Gwill is pretty much on the case of that car. Don't forget, Yogurt hasn't pitted yet. You can see that here. There's only 3 cars that haven't pitted. Chapelele, Yogurt and Sem. Don't forget, if they all pitted, they'd actually come out last. In front of Thomas, but basically last. So should they have pitted on the safety car? Probably. But who knows? The drivers know more than I do. There's no doubt about that. Hello, Alpu. How's it going? When did you send that message? 6 minutes ago. I do apologise. I was concentrating on the safety car. My bad. Yogurt locking up his tyres again. Maybe he's one of the drivers that actually has anti-braking system off. Not many drivers do. I see many drivers braking fully, but not locking up their tyres. You can't brake fully without locking up the tyres, really, unless you short shift the gears. Lap 11 we're on out of 28. We have 18 including this one to go, and DRS is now back on, so we should see some overtakes down the back straight and the start finish straight as we progress through this race. BBC Rexter doesn't make an overtake. He technically does, but it's because Diego was in the pits and he just served his drive-through penalty and is now P14, and that drive-through penalty has literally ruined his chances of getting a good finish. He was at the front for most of the race, but that is what speeding under a safety car can do, and I'm sure he will learn his lesson. Lots of cars going wide down to turn 11. The Mercedes will have first into the corner. The Toro Rosso has to be very careful to not lose his left end plate. The Renault nearly taps his gearbox. The Renault will try and go round the inside of turn 13, but we know how tricky that is at full power. He does well though, and there could be an overtake from Raikkonen on Sem and the Racing Point. I think the problem is they've all got DRS, so I think we'll stay the same, but Sem will make a move onto the outside of the Mercedes. Renault will take it inside. He goes way too far down into turn 14. That pushes the Toro Rosso of Sem, and he loses out 3 positions from the Renault Raikkonen doing that dive bomb, and Sem is the driver that's lost out there because he was at the front of the 5. Down into turn 1, Fruitful overtakes the Mercedes into turn 1, didn't quite catch it. Gwill and Yogurt are wheel to wheel out of turn number 4, and down to turn 5 and 6. Gwill gets a fantastic exit and will cover the inside to turn number 6. The Haas of Yogurt, I'm sure, will try a cheeky switchback. It's hard to do the switchback though without tapping the back of the car in front. That is what happened there. Thomas sets the current fastest lap of a 34.6 on mediums. That will be improved as the cars burn some fuel and lose some weight. We just have to keep an eye on this pack of 3 here, as they're very, very close. It's quite crazy to, if you look to the Red Bull of Aero, the gap being only 8.6 seconds between P1 and 12. Bear in mind, P1 has a 2-second gap already, so technically 6 seconds. The McLaren and the Haas battering it out down the back straight. The McLaren have the straight line speed to overtake the Haas, and Montana gets into that P3 spot for the moment. Don't forget, Gwill has also pitted as well. Chapelele has it, and the problem with Chapelele, he didn't pit on the safety car, and now he's gonna literally come out to maybe P12, depending on where Diego is. Yeah, I think it's going to be P12 or P13, but we'll have a look. Chapelele goes on to another set of hards. That must be a 2-stop, surely. 1-stop, but was he already on mediums? Oh yeah, never mind, that's right. I think the pit crew were kind of trying to confuse me a little bit. And this is interesting now because Chapelele not pitting on the safety car, has it cost him a good finish? Don't forget, look at the drivers on your left hand side. Gwill, Montana, Fruitful, Agard, Raikkonen, Midnight, Super Guy, maybe Air on mediums, Josh, have all pitted on hards already. It's looking really good. That worked beautifully for Fruitful, absolutely. The McLaren are looking really, really good in P1 and 2, and they've both pitted. McLaren are already top of the Constructors' Championship. Not that it means too much right now, there's many more races to go, but the earlier you get that Constructors' lead, the better it is for your drivers, you know. You might even get to a healthy position where you might go, okay, well, we don't need to race this week because we've got that much of a gap. Well, not that excuse, but more like, oh, our teammate can't make it, you know, it's okay. You know, they're not gonna have any problems doing it. We're not even, technically, we're on the lap, but it takes us halfway through this Grand Prix. Montana was getting very close to his teammate's gearbox. Aero has done completed an overtake through turn 4 on the Haas of Super Guy, and the Super Guy was 9th for a little bit, but he's gone back into 10th place. And look at that, the leader gap from 1st to 11th is only 6.8 seconds. So a really close grid at the moment. I'm not sure too many people have penalties. No, I don't think they do. So no one has penalties at the moment. So this grid is as it stands. Toro Rosso going wide out of turn 10, that's Sam. I think he's done that 2 laps in a row. So obviously the cars behind him pressuring him quite a little bit. That's the dynamic view I've been looking for. Montana does a little fake to the left and to the right thereafter. Gwill wasn't expecting him to go back to the right. Gwill tries to switch back, but we've always said the outside line is the key line to have through turn 16. The McLaren of Gwill does an excellent switch back. Sorry about the button. Does really well to not hit his teammate, and that was expertly executed from Gwill, and he takes that P1 back. That could have ended really badly for Gwill if he tapped his teammate, but he did really well and absolutely timed it to perfection, and he gets that P1 position that he absolutely deserves after that excellent switch back from turn 16. Don't forget, while these two McLarens are having little scraps here and there, the Haas of Yogurt, the Racing Point of Fruitful, the Mercedes of Argyle, they're all coming into play, and they'll be getting back a little bit closer to the leading pack. There is a leading pack of 3, then a little gap, then another pack of 3, then a little gap. So we'll have to keep an eye on those packs. I don't think there's any need to stay any more after 10th, because after P10 the smallest gap's 2.8 seconds. And overtakes are not going to happen at that point. The only thing that will happen of interest is any DNFs or anything that happens regarding going off a track or a slip or anything like that. Down the back straight, I don't think anyone will have an overtake here. Montana moves to the right to block the 6th stream, but he's already got DRS anyway. The Haas needs to brake really heavily. He loses the back end and loses a position to Fruitful. Loses another position to Agard and might lose another position to Renault. And he has done. And that was because he locked up his tyres and broke quite late. He comes into a pits for a set of mediums now, and maybe he should have put ABS on, because even though it's more realistic and technically makes you a better driver if you can do it, if everyone else can have it on, and they can brake at full power and you can't, there's your immediate disadvantage. The gap to Montana Fruitful has increased again to 1.6, so there's a little bit of a gap between the two McLarens and the racing point. On lap 16 of 28, we have 13 laps to go. And there's a huge gap from the Alfa Romeo to Chapelele. The fastest lap at the moment is going to Thomas, so obviously he doesn't get the point as he's outside of the top 10, but he will take away the point from anyone in the top 10 that wanted it so far. I'm just going to have a quick check of how F2 is going. F2 is still light rain, but I think the rain has stopped, unless I'm seeing things. I'm not too sure. They have 13 drivers, and a couple of drivers on F2 have pitted to go to the dries, which is interesting. A couple of names that are common in other leagues in F2. You got Gavi, you got Jardy, but they're at the back, strangely. Here, you got a few drivers that you all know too from other leagues, especially the ones with their synonyms. No, not synonyms, abbreviations, sorry, at the start of their names. And this McLaren battle is going to be really interesting. Gwill hasn't won a race yet. He's only on 12 points. I think he just participated last week in Albert Park in Australia, though. Talking about Albert Park, we of course have the Australian Grand Prix in 4 weeks' time, which I can't wait for. Of course, most of the cars, well, I say most, I think some of the cars, Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull, McLaren, AlphaTauri, which are taking over Toro Rosso this year. AlphaTauri, what a name that is. A lot of people have been saying, have you seen their black and white car? It's not black and white, it's black and blue, if you look at it properly. It looks like a car that someone's made on a multiplayer livery on this game. I'm not a massive fan of the design, but some people are. So each to their own. I think the Red Bull is going to be strong in real life this year. I also think the Ferrari has sorted their back end car out of their car. It's a lot more tighter, a lot more aerodynamic. I think Ferrari have the power. They always have. They needed to work on somehow getting more downforce and less drag, which I guess they tried to work on. Mercedes will always be quick, there's no doubt about that. AlphaTauri, I'm guessing they would have had a lot of help off Toro Rosso to help with their car. I think they're the same kind of brand, but they've kept the drivers. They kept Kvyat and Gasly. Don't forget, you have Aston Martin. Who is it? Aston Martin Racing Point? No, something like that. Red Bull Aston Martin. I don't know. Something. Someone could probably tell me in the chat who probably knows more than me. But we've got that livery to come as well, but they haven't shown yet, I don't think. Maybe they have. Yogurt sets the fastest lap, 34.1. He is in P12. He won't be getting that point unless he overtakes, a few cars in front of him. And these Mercedes drivers are looking pretty close. Now, they're both managing their battery, but I wonder who's managing the pace, because you can look at this two ways. Gorilla could be managing the pace from the car behind, or Montana could be sticking to the pace of the car in front and looking for an overtake later on. You don't know. You know, you think about Hamilton in Monaco, he matched Verstappen's pace to look after the tyres. Let's try and think about another race where it happened the other way. I'm not quite sure off the top of my head. But you know what I mean. So it'll be interesting to see what these drivers are doing. Down for back straight, we've got a pack of 5 here that have all got DRS. The problem with that is not many of them will be able to make an overtake. They stay in their line. They look like a bunch of children waiting outside a classroom for their teachers to come. They were literally in a perfect line. And you see that in esports a hell of a lot. They literally follow the same line. They all have the same braking points. It's literally just fine margins. I don't think there'll be any overtakes into turn 1, and there isn't. So those pack of 5 keep their places. There's a back marker Red Bull But the cars will have to be aware of, but we won't have to be aware of too much. That car, I'm sure, will be ghosted. And you can see the two McLarens have a 3.2 second gap to the car behind, and then there's a 4.1 second gap from that pack of 5 behind the two McLarens. So gaps are starting to form. Listen, the gap before was about 12 seconds to P15, it's now 30 seconds. So you can see how the leader gap is increasing very, very slowly. We're going to have to keep an eye on this pack. The best way to keep an eye on this pack is probably by being on board with the last car. But I've heard that viewers don't like that too much. They'd rather have the dynamic of the first one. So that's no problem. We can do that. This pack is getting really, really tasty. I think the Red Bull just might have tapped the gearbox of Midnight and it sent the Williams back end just a little bit oversteery, but everything seemed okay. We might have just had a yellow flag just for that little bit of contact. I'm just wondering, can Aero finish the race with 9 more laps on medium? The answer is I don't know the answer to that. But we just got to keep an eye on this pack and make sure that we don't miss out on any of the attempted overtakes. It's a fantastic view going down to turn 11. There's also a fantastic dynamic view on the back straight down to 14 too. I think one of the best tracks for dynamic views is obviously the street circuits. The Monaco, the Azerbaijan, the Singapore, they have the best dynamic views of all tracks. There's no doubt about that. Montana's getting very close to his teammate, but he has been very close since after the pit stop after the safety car. And we might see a close finish. We have checked. No one has any actual time penalties, so this grid is how it is. I'm just going to check if anyone's got any time penalties, because it's very, very important that we take that into account. So Zach receives a quali ban after incidents. Thomas receives a quali ban. Okay, so there's no time penalties at the moment, which is good to see, because whatever happens on our left hand side, ladies and gentlemen, is how it will finish. And once the guys cross the line, we'll have 7 laps to go of what has been a pretty entertaining Chinese Grand Prix. We've got a little battle here between Yogurt, Diego and Sem for the point position for P10 for 1 point. Sem has also got Yogurt has also got fastest lap, so if he can creep into the top 10, he will get another point for that. It's the same as the 9th position, of course. But McLaren's still pulling ahead. They've got a 4-second gap to 3rd, and we'll just have to keep an eye on that a little bit. Midnight completes an overtake on Raikkonen into turn 14. Unfortunately, we didn't get the full gist of that. The Red Bull of Aero pits, we knew he had to. Those mediums, you can see the blisters on the front left tyre especially, and he's going to pit for a pair of softs, I think, and he's probably going to go for a fastest lap. The problem he's got is he's literally going to come out potentially last place with the back marker of Repster. Thomas is going to go through. The Red Bull's going to come out of the pits now, so he's going to take away the fastest lap from Yogurt, who did make his way into P10. but he will not be getting the point if Aero does get that fastest lap in. We must keep an eye on this battle as we finish, come towards the finish of this Chinese Grand Prix. I'm just going to have a quick look at what race is next, because on the Elite Vortex Racing Twitter, Minty, one of the commentators for Formula 2 or Formula 3, made a like a calendar, but it's kind of a cool calendar. I've never seen anyone do it like he done it. I'm just going to have a quick look at the calendar to see what's to come, because I believe next week is Monaco. Is that Austria or Monaco? I'm not sure. So it's a red and white flag, Monaco flag. It is Monaco. So next week is Monaco. Then we have Austria, China, Belgium, Britain. So we got a good lineup, but next week is Monaco, and that is going to be amazing. I did a Monaco race last night, and it had 3 safety cars and 3 virtual safety cars, and that is what Monaco's about. There's also been a discussion about F1 and 2020 and the PS5. PS5, apparently the rumours are that it has cost PS5 £400 to make each PS5, and obviously they're going to have to make loads of PS5. God knows how many people are going to buy it, but I'm sure F1 2020 will be monetized. Not monetized, is that the right word? Customized, let's say, to go on that console, but that console is not coming out till Christmas, so we'll see what happens regarding that. But of course the F1 2019 game came out 2 months early this year. It was meant to come out in August or September. It came out in June, July. I think it was 28th of one of those months. So that'll be interesting to see. All the top 9 on the hard compound tyres. Diego probably will be struggling with a bit of wear. Actually, never mind. Guill's done 18 laps. Don't forget Montana's tyres are 1 lap newer, and if he's been managing the pace from his teammate, then he might be okay. Argard is ghosting. I think his driver's left the car, or he's got a connection issue, which is a shame, but he'll be dropping down the list and might not be getting the points position that he wanted. Aero does set the fastest lap of a 1:33.334. Too many threes in that line, but he won't be getting the point, of course, but he has taken the point off someone else. The top 5 take away the gap from the third 2. The gap is only a second from Fruitful to Raikkonen, and no offence to Super Guy, nothing wrong with his performance so far, but he is 8 seconds behind 5th place, so I think we can definitely concentrate on these lot, and second to third is 4.7 seconds as well. We'll have a look at the position changes as everything seems to be in law and order. So Guil has maintained his place at the top. You know, we give him a bit of stick for not putting on the safety car, or putting on the safety car on time, and he has absolutely said no, I was right, and he's P1 at the moment. P2 Montana, for McLaren's teammate, moved up 1 place. Fruitful P3, gone up 7 places, and he'll be able to finish the race. But will he finish third? He's got 2 cars that want to get third place and a podium behind him. Midnight's up 1, Raikkonen's down 3. Of course, he started second. Super Guy's up 7. Good race from him. He's got Josh in the Alpha behind him though. Chapelele down 1, Yoga up 2, Diego down 6. Of course, that drive-through penalty has literally killed the man off. So he's only getting a point as it stands, maybe 9th, depending on the gap is decreasing. Sem 11th, Aero 12th. Aero's down 6 this evening because of that incident early on. Argard down 4, Thomas up 1, and Wetster down 1. Those are your position changes. Those are your stops. No one's done more than a 2 stop, but there's only 4 drivers that have done 2 stops, and those being Josh, Aero and Thomas and Wetster. So then, what is going to happen with 3 laps to go when Grill crosses the line? Oh, the Williams is going to, of Midnight, is going to make a move on Fruitful, and he has got the position initially, but the outside line always wins, ladies and gentlemen, and Midnight has got that 3rd position, but will the racing point, he goes wide as possible to try and get the best exit, whacks on the DRS. Midnight's quite low on battery, but Midnight will have the first dibs to turns number 1 to 4, and Midnight is now in that podium spot. Can Fruitful try and go back? We saw that Super Guy and the Alfa Romeo of Josh were really close, and they still are, and we'll have to keep an eye on that as Super Guy leads out of turn 4 at the moment. A couple of overtakes that are expected to come. Like I said, no penalties, so this is how it's gonna finish. And it's crazy to think. I mean, you look at the Toro Rosso in 8th place. Sorry, not 8th place, 12th place. And look at the gap. Someone just got a new fastest lap, and it was Thomas. And of course, he takes that point away from Diego if he was going to get, Aero, if he was going to get him a top 10, which he has. So he's not getting the fastest lap point at the moment. Is Aero. I'm just going to try and get back on the stream to make sure I haven't missed any comments. I do apologise, but I didn't see. Formula 3, by the way, has 18 drivers, which is good to see. Good for them. I've never understood how Formula 3, which is meant to be the slower division, definitely not slow, but slower, has more drivers than the top division. But we do have about 5 or 6 drivers on vacation, so we're quite lucky that some of the reserve drivers have come in to fill. Midnight is still keeping that 3rd place spot, and was it coming? Because he's already nearly 3/4 of a second in front. Will we see Montana turn up his battery and have a final go at his teammate with 2 laps to go? He's definitely probably thinking, right? Don't forget, those drivers are probably in communication. They're probably in a PS4 party. I know a lot of the teammates, maybe not the reserve drivers as such, but don't forget the team leader, who's always a number 1 driver, has personally picked the reserve driver. So I'm sure they know them or know of their talents or how fast they can be. And I'm sure most teams are in communication with each other. So yeah. I really want to see a playback of that switchback that Gwill did on it was lap 15. It was either going onto lap 15 or going onto lap 16, but it was an excellent move. Thomas gets past Argon because he's on the soft compound tyres and he's going to be going pretty quick. He's not going to catch Sem though because he's 23 seconds behind. Sem might have a little go at Diego. He seems to have a bit more speed, even though we got DRS. Super Guy goes into back into his P6 position. Chapelele goes to P7. The Alfa Romeo Josh loses 2 places. I think he might have gone wide, knowing that his hards have done 22 laps at the moment. And we are on the final lap of the Chinese Grand Prix. Will Montana make that direct push for his teammate? If Guo can keep a good pace up, I don't think Montana will have a chance at keeping up with Guo. You can see some of the blisters starting to form. He done it, of course, the braking distance increases, of course, and the traction, of course, isn't a good, but I'm sure he'll be ready for it. and that gap to his teammate has already gone to 8 tenths. And Grill has basically led every single lap of this Grand Prix, and well done to him. He's kept his teammate behind. Whether Montana has let him win, but I'm never ever going to say that, because it might not be true. Grill might have raced absolutely brilliant. I don't want to take that away from him at all. I have seen other drivers that have let their teammates win, but nonetheless, Grill number 18 underscore 18, I've never seen him race before, but the first race that I have seen him race, he comes across the line and wins the Chinese Grand Prix, respected to his teammates in P2. Montana Midnight comes across the line in third place. That overtake on Fruitful proved costly to Fruitful, as they gave up the podium. Raikkonen goes fifth fastest. Super Guy just about manages to keep his P6. Chapelele was very, very close. Unfortunately, I didn't see how close it was. Josh 8th, Yoga P9, Aero P10. The fastest lap going to Thomas, so no one's getting a point. Sem goes 12th. Thomas comes through the final corner now to take P13. Argard is ghosted, Wetster is ghosted, and I think the session will end as Thomas crosses the line. He puts his car into the wall, and that is the end of the Chinese Grand Prix. I would like to have seen the gap between 6th and 7th, because that was really, really close. It's just a shame we didn't catch the main graph of it. But it was a pretty good race, nowhere near as good as what Monaco will be next week, I'm absolutely sure. And we'll just have a confirmation. So 67, look at that gap. It was literally, if you do the quick maths, 84 milliseconds separated 6th and 4th. Super Guy 13th to 6th, Fruitful 10th to 4th. The top 3 you can see at the top of your screen. The gap to the front was only 4 tenths. It was really, really close, but there was only one winner this evening, and that was Grill. Thank you so much for watching. We are in Monaco next week. Please do join us for that. It's going to be amazing. Same time, 8 PM. F2 and F3 are still going ahead, or they're very close to finishing, so crack on and go watch those other ones, and make sure you keep on touch with the Twitter, of course. We'll see you next week from Monaco. Have a good weekend and have a good week.